Hello, everyone. Um, Thank you for joining us this morning or afternoon, wherever you might be, for the SiteVision version 2. Um, I'm Jeff Blanton. I'll be going over all the exciting new things in the latest version of SiteVision. I'm also joined with Jody Craig. She's going to be kind of monitoring the questions. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and put them in the question box there, and Jody will nudge me a little bit and let me know if there's a question in there that she thinks I should answer right away. If not, then we can save. Hopefully there'll be enough time at the end that I can answer any questions that you might have. So with that, I'll just go ahead and get started. What I'll cover here this morning is obviously SiteVision version 2.0. Some of the new features, improvements, a little bit on data prep, and I'll go over some of the documentation and the other resources we have to learn about SiteVision and to help educate yourself, and then some of the facts. So there's lots of new stuff with the latest SiteVision release. The SiteVision application itself. There's also a new AR exporter for Trimble Business Center. Sorry, I always say TBC. Also, there's a updated visualization manager. If you haven't seen the visualization manager or use it, it's a great tool for displaying your models in the field with symbols. And then there's a new SketchUp extension for SketchUp 2020. So I'll just get right into it. One of the newest features is create a new project on your device. This is something people have been asking for. You don't have to set up a model or go do all the data prep. You can actually set up a project on the device in the field and capture data and create some designs, which I'll show a little bit more of that in a minute. This little video it was a real quick one that was playing this there. All the trees that you see down the road here, these are all virtual reality or augmented reality trees here, and not really these were placed in the field. You can measure some lines and areas and check your slopes. You could check for slopes with the previous version, but it's improved quite a bit, and I'll touch on that in a few more slides. You can edit the captured data, change the names, codes. After you've taken a measurement in the field and assigned a symbol, you can't go back and change that symbol. You can change the rotation of that symbol. So you have a park bench and it's 90 degrees off of where you want it. You can rotate that 90 degrees by and insert and delete points. That's something. Deleting points is very new. We did get a lot of complaints about that when you measured with the EDM or the AR tool in SiteVision. You were stuck with it. You couldn't get deleted, but now you have the option to remove those points. So we actually have three new apps, one enhancement. So the measured points we enhance with symbols, like I just mentioned. So now you can measure a point and you can assign a symbol to that. You can measure lines and areas, which is a little bit self-explanatory. You can trace around on your sidewalk or a landscape area and measure that out, get the perimeter length, get your area. Then you can also do in-field design with planes and profiles. And another new feature is the default JXL. Previously, when you loaded your models in Connect, if you were loading a JXL or a cal file or something like that, you would need to, the names had to match exactly. Now what we've done, we've made it so that you can make a default JXL, put it in the folder where all your models are, and whatever models are in there, when you open those in the field, will automatically read that default JXL. Now, if you have several models in there and you want to use a different JXL, you can still have the default in there and then JXL with the same name of the model, it will read that model first, and then if nothing is there, then it will automatically go to the default model. I didn't have anything else, any other slides on that one, so this is why I didn't, or I kind of went into a little more here. And then over here on the right in this image that you're looking at, these are the new buttons underneath the grid box down here. To measure your area, measuring points, your profile, and your plan view, and I'll touch on those here as we go. So when you want to create a project in the field, you simply load model, do new model. This creates a project called SiteVision on your device. It also creates a project in Connect for you under this last folder that you used, or Trimble Connect project folder that you used. And obviously this is required to store the results. You have to be on the internet to be able to store your results on Connect. They are stored locally, and you can sync it up to Connect later. Once you've done this, it creates a localized transfer Mercator around the user in the field. This can be adjusted. It might not necessarily match your data back in the office, your back-end data. But once you've done this, you can obviously move that data to fit your coordinate system and the model, your existing models. Symbols on points. So as I mentioned, now you can take a measurement, and you'll see we over on the point details in this image over here on the right, we have a new field symbol, and all the symbols come from SketchUp models. We have a default library for you to choose from. If you don't see a symbol on there that you would like to use, you can create your own symbols and add those into the pick list, or you can go into the SketchUp warehouse and download more. If you haven't been in the SketchUp warehouse before, there are, I believe, thousands of symbols in there. The symbols are stored under My Files, under the Trimble SiteVision AR symbols. So that's where you would put those symbols if you're creating your own or downloading more from the 3D warehouse. The maximum symbol size is approximately 250,000 triangles. I wouldn't recommend setting too many symbols in the field at the maximum number. You're going to use up your data storage on your Android device really quickly, and you're going to start having performance issues, or it won't even work at all. All measured points and their symbols are automatic. And the rotations are saved as a CSV file. So once you've completed your work in the field, you can download that CSV file is uploaded to Connect. You can download that from the cloud, and then use that file to bring in the points into existing data. Quickly, I'll just rattle this off because I have slides showing each one of these. Some of the applications for energy, landscape, architects, geospatial. I'll start with the energy application, which I think maybe I shouldn't have put energy application. It could be used for many applications, but the example we have here is the electric vehicle charging station location. So you could go out to, say, a parking lot where a customer wants to put in some charging stations so more electric vehicles can park there and charge their vehicles. And now this is pretty simple. They just essentially place the station at the end of the parking spots, but it's going to be a lot more complex than this. Think about it. You're going to have the underground utilities that you could have in here, or where they're going to connect to, things like that. So it's a nice visualization tool before you get started to get a feel for how your design, where you want to design, where your design elements need to be. Some landscape designs. Again, I don't think this is limited to just landscapers. Here, you can see in this video, I'm gonna stop that real quick. They took a measurement on the ground where they want to place their model or their symbol. Not sure what's the ideal word to use that right there. So he's going to scroll down through the list of options and place this gazebo right here. And then he's going to walk around the corner and place a couple trees in here. So essentially you're creating a full scene in the field to view. Imagine visualizing that with a customer, or if you're a landscape architect and you're out with a customer, you could design all this in their backyard and show it to the customer live in real time and get feedback. And how cool would that be? Sorry, they're mostly geospatial applications. This is the greatest video for this, visualizing or doing some QC checks in the field. We're going to place a manhole right here. You can see when you take that measurement on the ground, it places your elevation, or the model will be at the ground elevation. Here we're checking a light pole. We're going to place a light pole on top of this light pole. And you can either use the EDM to take these measurements, or you can use the measurements with a rod and a rod height on the device to take these measurements. Place your symbol, and then you can compare it to the existing information in the field. Change the rotation, as you can see they're doing here, dynamically, or just by hand entering it. Some construction applications. This is a pretty cool one over here. This is a boom truck symbol that we placed in the field along with some of these cones. So we're doing traffic containment pre-construction to lay out how your cones are going to be. We're checking here that where the boom is sitting. If the lower right image here, you can see that this red shaded area, I don't know how well you see that on your end, but that red shaded area is a radius of where the boom will swing. So you can see, all right, where do I need to place this boom so I'm not hitting this overpass right here. And then over on the left, we're putting up fences and cones out here, just saying, all right, where do I want to place these things to shut off this road, or whatever I might need to do moving forward. Landscapes design, I kind of went through this one already. Like I mentioned, you can create the conceptual designs on the fly. I think really what I wanted to show is this tip right here. So if you're using SketchUp models and you're creating scenes in the field, yeah, keep in mind, for those who do use SketchUp, the insertion point of SketchUp. A lot of times it uses 0, 0, and that might not necessarily be anywhere near where you are in the field. So you want to keep an eye on that insertion point, because if it's 0, 0 in the SketchUp model, that's what it's going to be in SiteVision. But when you've surrounded yourself with your transverse Mercator, that may not line up. So keep that in mind, that you may have to move that insertion point in SketchUp on the symbol itself or in the field. Lines and areas. This one's really cool as well. You measure the lengths, the total lengths. Everything is calculated in real time on the fly, so you can measure your lengths or see what the lengths are and your total areas. I have a little video here on this slide that shows that. You'll take the measurements of the surfaces that you want, and over here on the left-hand side, you can see your total distance to be calculated. The last distance you took from point to point is being calculated, and then the surface area is being calculated in real time as well. So just think about, I mean, you're measuring out landscape areas that you might need to design, how much material you might need. I'm going to move on to the next slide. This one's a little bit better. Where you can see the user here is measuring around the house. He wants to paint his house, so he's getting the area so he can calculate how much paint he needs to buy, or if you want to redo your siding, you calculate how much area you have, so how much siding you may need to purchase. So you're an estimator, this would be a great tool. You're going out doing some estimating for painting a house or replacing someone's driveway or a sidewalk. The use cases are endless. The cool thing about this is you can actually measure around corners and vertical surfaces. You can see here that they measured from the bottom up and over and down and around a corner around the house to get the full area of that house in real time. And keep all this stuff is everything that you do with the Create projects and the EDM and the AR with the measure is all these things are saved in a CSV file and then stored on the cloud for you. Planes. So you can design a plane or a flat or a sloping plane in the field on the fly. It's a pretty easy process. You measure your first point, like I mentioned before. You take a measurement on the ground, either with the EDM or with your rod. Your default panel is going to be 3.28 feet by 3.28 feet, which sounds like 1 meter by 1 meter to me. And then you can edit the dimensions of that plane using finger gestures. It doesn't show it in here, but there are some handles on the plane on each end. They're blue, you can't miss them, that you can grab hold of and move your plane up and down, back and forth, and to the size you want. Or you can visually or manually enter in that information with this little plus bar. You can enter in up here. You see the width, the elevation, the length. As I mentioned, the offset, slope, and the cross slope can also all be adjusted for this plane. Once you've created your planes, you can sync that up to connect and then review those planes in Trimble Business Center. Profiles just like planes. You measure your first point. You'll see in this video he measured the ground here. I'm going to stop that, and what it's doing is creating the bottom of your profile is going to be here. The person who made this video, he's doing it. He measured the point on the ground, and then he's going to draw out the profile, and you can see here the angles for this trench that he's trying to design. And then you could start it, move the offsets here manually, or you can go in here and edit and type in those offsets. I'll keep playing the video here so you can see some of that. All this is being designed in the field without any data other than maybe a map sheet or something that you might be carrying with you. You can specify your design elevations and grades. You can stake extra points along the alignment. So think of it, you're out in the field and you want to design a trench or a drainage system into a retention pond or something like that. You can easily do that and bring that back into the office and then start doing some design work from the office. You can start you can add starting and ending elevations or starting in offsets with that. So I think that video gives a good feel of what was going on here. Here you can enter your starting and ending elevations or your offsets where you want the grade that you want to cross your slope. And then if you look at the image on the lower left, this is a berm. That's design is it's the opposite of the trench in the video there. They're designing a berm to go on this job site right here. And again, you can insert and delete as needed. Energy, so energy practice. So in this video, this is a pretty quick one as well. What they're doing here is they're mapping out the easement corridor so they can see what vegetation needs to be be cut out along that corridor of their power line. Again, not limited to just the energy. I mean, there's a number of use cases that you can come up with. Some of the benefits that you have with this, the application you can use this to solve many problems in the field, or check existing designs. Maybe something doesn't fit in the field per the design. You could redesign it using SiteVision in the field and compare that, or update your design back in the office. Determine your existing shape or with the grade and slope, design and profile and surface, and then check your cut and fill. That's not really new. We've been able to do that, but once you've just added this in the field, you can go and check that cuts and fill compared to where you're the real world. Some of the improved tools, layer management. So now you can add a layer for the created features in the field. As I mentioned before, you can edit and delete points where you weren't able to do that before. You were kind of stuck with what you wanted to do. You can insert and delete nodes online. So if you're drawing like that profile or doing that area, if you missed a point, you can go back and put a point in between those 2 points to change the shape of the area that you're doing, or just update something that you may have missed while you're doing that. Data prep improvements we've made to the AR exporter and TBC. We have alignment support now. The entities are visible as lines in the layers. We didn't have this before. Improved support of pipe fitting blocks. There's a utility module for that, and color points by layer. You can see that's not my slide because we don't spell color that way. Jody, are there any questions coming in? I'm kind of going through this fast, so I definitely have some time if there's any questions that I've...
No, you're all good. There's no questions so far.
Okay, data, some other data prep is the updated plugin, as I mentioned in the beginning, for SketchUp 2020 format. The Connect desktop, you can generate and merge TRB models. The Quadri, I'm not real familiar myself with Quadri, but it now exports TRB models that can be used in SiteVision once they've been uploaded onto Trimble Connect. Oh, some of the facts. I'm definitely going through this much faster than I thought. So some of the documentation, so if you search SiteVision on YouTube, there is, I don't know, a lot more videos than there was just a month ago. I'll kind of come over here. I searched SiteVision, and you can see the number of videos here. These videos cover every one of these workflows that I talked about in detail with step-by-step directions of how to use those. I can say from using the line and area and the plan and profile, it's really intuitive and it's really simple to use and to learn. So I would recommend going out and playing with some of those. And then with our website, the sitevision.trimble.com, there's a wealth of information and documents there as well. And then our blog on sitevisionblog.trimble.com.
Jeff, does SiteVision support volume calculation like stockpile volume?
I don't. No, it does. It just does the area. It will not get the volume. Oh, I might be answering that wrong. I haven't tried that myself, but I'm thinking if I do an area of a stockpile, I should be able to calculate the volume. So yes, there's a way to do it. I just don't know. Let me look into that and I'll follow up with that one.
Okay. And how would you export the created models? Can you do it like, for example, in an SKP?
So unfortunately, we cannot export the models the way you're going to visualize them in SiteVision. All the information, the symbols, your spatial information, where the points are, all in the rotation is all saved on a in a CSV file that is uploaded to Connect. You would have to then take that CSV file and either bring it into TBC or bring it into SketchUp, and then you would have to kind of reconnect the dots again on some of those things. We are definitely working towards getting there. We're not quite there yet. That is a big request to be able to export the models that I created, or the scene, the whole scene I'd like created in the field to export out to visualize in the office somehow. But at the moment, it's just a CSV file that contains all the information, so you can recreate it in the office.
Great, thank you.
No worries. What's the best data format to use? Now, this question comes up time and time again, and the answer really is it depends on your use case, what platforms you're using, what the data, where it's coming from, what its backend system is coming from. So I would recommend looking at the data prep documentation in the user guide, and in there we have charts and different scenarios that help guide you to the best format to use with SiteVision for the use case that you're trying to apply it to. I flew right through this. So that leaves us with about a half an hour for questions. I normally this goes an hour. So if there are more questions, we have quite a bit of time left. I'm more than happy to take any questions on that you have.
I don't see any more at this stage.
Okay, maybe I went too fast.
Maybe you were so informative.
Let's hope that's what it was.
We do have one more. What licensing options are there?
So it's the same. If you're not familiar with SiteVision comes with the hardware piece. So you would purchase the one-time purchase of the hardware itself, and then the SiteVision is a subscription. There's a monthly model and a yearly subscription model that we have currently. So depending on your needs is how you would set up your license. And then with the license, with your SiteVision subscription license, it also comes with the RTX. What is, I now lost my train. The highest precision RTX you can get, Trimble Catalyst Precision as well, and the Connect Business. So all those features, all those licenses are wrapped up in the entitlement with SiteVision.
Is there enterprise?
We do not have an enterprise license to offer.
And do you need to purchase TBC to use the AR exporter?
That just came up, and I'll have to follow up on that one, because I've heard we have a viewer that's free, that you can use the AR exporter with that TBC free viewer. But my concern is that you don't have the ability to set a coordinate system with the free version of TBC. Without that, you're only going to get the scale only. So I'll follow up on that question. This just came up yesterday, and I haven't gotten the answer I was looking for yet. But if you don't have TBC, there are other ways of other methods to import your data up to Connect, or just copy your information up to Connect, and you can create a GXL file to add in there with it for a coordinate system, or a CAL file, or a DC file, if you don't have TBC. So there are other ways around it if you're not using TBC.
And what if you need a coordination file?
We do have, so there is a coordinate system manager, which I believe is free install. You don't have to have TBC to run that, and you can use that to create your JXL or your CAL file. If you're using SketchUp, when you're using SketchUp, I believe there's a CAL file that comes out with that as well. There are a few different methods to create those. Or if you don't have a method, if you load up your model and you do a measure placement in the field, you can do a measure placement in the field, and then that essentially is creating a site calibration that is stored in Connect that you can use from that point on. And you won't have to create it again on that same job site.
And is there support for road alignments upload from TBC?
No.
Do you have a plan for bigger devices like Android tablets?
Without divulging too much information, we definitely have a plan to move to bigger hardware. I know the phone can be a little limiting and even difficult to see in the sun. Even with the sunshade on it, it becomes challenging on that small phone. And then if you have a group of people around you, once you get beyond 3 or 4 at the most, then the rest of the group can't really see what you're all looking at without taking turns.
Is Trimble Connect mandatory, or can you use a model directly recorded on the device?
Trimble Connect is mandatory. You can't get around the Trimble Connect. You can store models. Now, this did come out with release or version 1.1. You can save a model on your device and use it offline, but you have to have it go through Connect, download it on your device first, and then go offline. You can't just import a model into SiteVision.
And VGIS seems to be a competitor. What is the difference with SiteVision compared to that?
How much time do we have? Yeah, VGIS, we have looked at them a bit. I've watched some of their videos, and I haven't played with it myself. We do have one of our leads on SiteVision who has worked with VGIS. One of the key components that Trimble has figured out is the coordinate system and the refresh on most AR. With the background, there's a lot going on in the background, and the AR is constantly trying to recalculate and calibrate itself and hold we'll say your data in place, where in most our competitors, they don't have that part of that figured out. So we have this really fast refresh rate. We have a GNSS that's helping holding the models in place. I know they say they have the accuracy, but they don't really have the GNSS part of that figured out, and their models will start to float. They will start to bounce around. Whereas with the SiteVision, we have the GNSS in there. And some of the engineering stuff is way over my head, and it was explained to me a while back, and I'm sure I'm butchering it. How we handle that refreshing and what's going on with the background. It's constantly trying to find new reference points or hold on to the new reference points, or if something goes like the car just drove by or some people walked by, it has to look for new reference points to hold that model into place. That starts becoming real sketchy with some, especially VGIS. I don't know. Hopefully that answered your question. I have a great email with which describes this really well. So if you're interested, I could dig that up and share that with you.
Could you give us a refresher on which phones are compatible with SiteVision?
Yeah, so I would highly recommend the Samsung S10 Plus. I think that's the latest and greatest phone. It handles, I want to say 8 million triangle points or something like that. So its processor is a lot better. its storage is a lot better. It works really, really well with SiteVision. Now, that's $1,000 phone, I believe. So if you don't want to go out and purchase a $1,000 phone, then you can do the S9 Plus, SA Plus, and we do have a list on our website of all the compatible phones.
Are the Google phones compatible?
The Google Pixel 2 and 3, I believe, are on our recommended list. Some of the folks in the office, I have a Samsung S10 and an LG. My LG works okay. The Samsung works really well. And then the folks that do have the Google Pixels, they haven't been really liking the performance with it. They have it will lock up on them or crash, or they do have some difficulties, but it is on a recommended list. And if you go onto the website, there is a long list under the, I think even under facts, there's a couple spots for it under facts and the user guide and quick start guide, I believe, which shows all the recommended phones. Now, the thing with the recommended phones is the camera offset. So if you go with a recommended phone, when you hook it to SiteVision, it automatically populates your XYZ for your camera offsets. If you go with a phone that's not on that list, then SiteVision will tell you that it can't populate those fields as it doesn't know what those offsets are. And then there's directions of how to measure those offsets. I can tell you from experience, it's not the easiest thing to get those little millimeter measurements.
What about Trimble devices like the TDC 600? Do you think that'll be available in the future?
I really wish, because I love the TDC 600. I use it all the time. SiteVision only works with Android 9 and above, which is 10. And our TD600 is Android 8, so it does. And Google doesn't allow us to put the AR core on our devices. We don't sell enough volume of them, so we don't have an AR core on our Android devices. It is something we're working towards, because I would love to see it on a bigger screen and a ruggedized. Because when I've used SiteVision, the phones overheat on a hot day, or if it's too cold, or you drop it, you just wasted your $1,000 phone. Whereas, with the TDC 600, it's ruggedized. It's built for extreme temperatures, hot and cold. The batteries last all day, so it's definitely a goal.
And just one last little thing, just a reminder on your release date for SiteVision 2.0.
So I just saw that in there, and I apologize. I should have mentioned that as soon as I started. We released last Wednesday, so version 2.0 is available right now on the Play Store. So if you already have SiteVision and you're set to auto updates, it should already be there. If not, then if you go to search, it's available for you to update.
Right, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Well, if there's no more questions, then I thank everyone for attending. I hope I gave you some good information and didn't go too fast. And if something does come up, feel free to reach out to one of the SiteVision teams. Thank you. Bye, everybody.